Hello and welcome back to the Pro Dota 2 National Cup here on Pro Dota EN on Hitbox. It's going to be game 2 of a best of 3 series, excuse me. We're finally in the playoffs of this tournament, and it's going to be Team Finland versus Team Romania. Might better know these teams as Stark Esports and as XPC Romania, but Team Romania in game number 1, they were able to pull off a really crazy draft. The Timbersaw, by the end of that game, was a monster. He bought a Basher because he could. He had like 7,000 gold after buying back. He was fountain camping them, and in general, all it took was one pick off on the Shadow Fiend, and then being able to kill him the second time to secure his dieback that won that game. Finstack were very heavily invested on having a stacked Shadow Fiend because their Wind Ranger unfortunately just wasn't picking up that much momentum, wasn't getting the pickoffs that are really necessary for a Wind Ranger in order to get that super huge advantage. I was impressed. I'm not sure if we're going to see Timbersaw ban out this game, at least on the first stage, maybe as a second stage ban. But their play with that hero definitely impressed me. One that's a little bit less conventional, and it's a lot of fun to watch, if nothing else. I don't think Team Finland really have to shake up their approach to this game all that much going into game number 2. Although their standard game plan, the more tried and true meta playstyle, didn't work out in game number 1, I think as long as they draft a little bit more lockdown so that they aren't susceptible to being caught out by that Queen of Pain Timbersaw that just ran rampant. It really was so very reliant on them being able to catch a good Winter's Curse. Granted, the Winter's Curses were pretty good, but we never saw the big combo like a Winter's Curse and then Shadow Fiend blinks on top with a BKB Requiem and then it just like blows up the Queen of Pain or the Timber. It never happened, and Team Finland, their fights were less than optimal for their team. They kind of needed to consistently get pickoffs with a Wind Ranger and Clockwork. You'd expect them to be able to do that, but for the longest time in game number 1, it was just a stalemate, and they couldn't move around, they couldn't find those picks, because everybody was 5-manning. Both of the teams were so clumped, and if they found a hero, there was another 4 right behind him. Moving on into game number 2, a little bit of change of pace when it comes to the bans, as Nightstalker is going to be first banned by Team Finland, and Queen of Pain will be banned by Team Romania. This is going to leave, I believe, the Tusk available in the pool that wasn't banned in game number 1. I can't, for the life of me, remember the second first ban that was in the first 4. But still, a lot of good heroes available for Team Romania to pick and choose from. Maybe grabbing, I don't know, like that Tusk for their team would be amazing, as I'm sure Finstack would be very happy to get their hands on said hero. Oh, Darkseer was the other ban. That's the one that I'm forgetting. It'll be the first pick for Team Romania. This is a very hotly contested pick for the Romania side and the Team Finland side. Both of these lineups really do love getting their hands on Darkseer. An offlane that has fallen out of favor in a couple of the scenes a little bit more, but is still incredibly potent. His laning stage is good, puts a lot of pressure on the safe lane farmer in most matchups, and is really hard to shut down. Even though Darkseer is a bit more on the farming train than the Tusk, and the Clockwork doesn't get online as quickly at that level 6 mark, it's still very potent. It enables other heroes to play very aggressively. Put that Ion Shell on a Spirit Breaker, on an Ember Spirit, on anything really, and just have them run at them. And it's going to be very hard for Finstack to deal with, although maybe Bane is pretty good at doing that. Bane traditionally is fairly good against Darkseer in lane. If you see the Darkseer going for the Surge, as soon as the Surge is there, drop a Nightmare onto him, and then you'll be able to waste that escape mechanism coming out from the Seer, and he won't be able to get out of lane nearly as easily. Bane as a whole has just been a really great pick, and we saw its power in game number 1, so Finstack will get their hands on it and maybe pick up something like a Slardar here to follow up that Bane, or an Ember Spirit could also be a very good pick for them. There's so many good ways to capitalize off of that Nightmare initiation, even without a way to really hammer that Nightmare home and get a lot of follow-up for it. Bane as a standalone hero is just still pretty good. Fiend's Grip's great ultimate, and maybe even more impressively, Brain Sap allows him to trade hits very effectively early on as just a zoning support. He's a nuisance. He's really annoying to play against, and that's good for Team Finland. A nice way to start off their draft. They'll follow it up with the Tusk. Although this isn't going to directly combo with the Bane, it's just going to be a solid offlaner for them. They don't want Team Romania to get their hands on a pseudo-deny pick, but you're picking up a Tusk. It's never bad. Maybe there are some situations where Tusk isn't as good if the enemy team has a lot of single target defensive supports and AoE disables to punish your snowballs. But as a whole, Tusk is going to offer utility to the team. But now Team Romania snagged the Slardar. In general, I think that Slardar Darkseer is a tad bit scarier than what Team Finland have picked up. Although, for sure, still, we can't evaluate the drafts with just these first two picks. Slardar has really become super popular. There are just so many different things that you can do with this Slardar. You can throw him as a safe lane farmer, get a quick blink dagger, and then roam around, maybe free up some space for your supports in that safe lane to back him up. Or even a dual lane with the Darkseer can be very potent. Drop Ion Shell and Slardar, surge him in, and drop the Crush. Very easily be able to beat down a couple of heroes if they don't have the appropriate backup when it comes from the Bane. Or maybe they're even going on to this Bane. If the Nightmare doesn't block the Crush, you're in for a bad time. Gyrocopter and Broodmother will be the bans from Team Romania. Although we saw Huskar banned out in the 4th slot, I am not sure if Team Romania need to be afraid of the Huskar at all. From Team Finland, Slardar in and of himself deals very well to Huskar. He offers stun and a lot of minus armor. And the two things that Huskar hates most, burst physical damage and lockdown. Slardar comes with both in spades. But maybe a Huskar for Team Romania wouldn't be a bad idea, although the Bane is going to be a nuisance, and the Walrus Punch can be good for dealing that finishing blow. I think Team Finland are the ones that need to be a little bit more afraid. They'll ban out the Spirit Breaker, an aggressive hero that could have partnered up with the Darkseer, much the same as that Slardar Darkseer dual lane that I was mentioning. I think it's safe to assume that Romania will probably put that Slardar in the safe lane, and it's a solid ban coming out from Team Finland. In general, the Spirit Breaker Darkseer is never something you want to play against, unless you're super prepared for it, and even then, you can miss. For Team Finland here, let's see what it's gonna be. Maybe considering their offlaner support if they don't want to show their cards. But I think going for that Ember Spirit could still be a reasonable option for Team Finland. Of course, Slardar is very good against Ember Spirit. Once you get a Blink Dagger and get on top of him, very easily burst him down because of Ember Spirit's lack of base health more than anything. It is a comfortable hero for Team Finland, and combos very nicely with the Bane. In general, I think that would be a reasonable option for them, although they are going to take a lot of their reserve time. They are on match point in this playoff match. Not exactly sure where in the brackets this is, but there's going to be an Invoker for Team Finland. Nice! Always fun to see some Invoker play. Combos beautifully with the Bane if this is going to be an Exhort Invoker, and if Slardar sprints in, if he takes a Max Exhort Sunstrike, that thing's gonna sting. It's not a pretty picture at all. Invoker, I think, is a good hero for Team Finland if they're able to split up the map and go for these single target pickoffs. Again, it's a situation where I think Team Finland are going to be much more comfortable going for these single target picks and then transitioning that into a push rather than taking the fight against Team Romania head on. Tusk's initiation, Bane's initiation is both very single targeted. If they are going to go for a 5-on-5 fight, they want to open up, get a quick kill, and then move on to the next. Ideally, and make it to where Team Romania fight with an innate numbers disadvantage. For Team Romania here, Dazzle has been banned, but Winter Wyvern's available, and I don't think this is a situation where you want to pass up the Winter Wyvern. It's just such a good hero in general. Maybe they have something better in mind, and maybe they have something more interesting in mind. By all means, Team Romania, go for something fun. Probably not the Timber Saw from last game, but something that's that interesting. It's going to be an Ench from Team Romania. How are they going to lane this? I think it's going to be a Jungle Enchantress. However, Enchantress's lane matchup in Invoker in mid lane is actually pretty good. Invoker relies almost exclusively on right clicks to be able to deal chip to the Ench, or to any hero, really. And the Enchantress with the Untouchable and with the constant heal might be going mid, although I think the chances of that are slim. For now, let's just assume this is going to be a Jungle Ench for Team Romania to get a little bit aggressive and to add some push into the mix. In general, it's going to be a nice hero for Team Romania to capitalize on the fact that they have a lot of teamfight initiation power from the Slardar and the Darkseer. It might weaken their lanes up a little bit, but a safe lane farming Slardar is fairly self-sufficient, might even be left 1v1 against the Tusk, although I think they'll have a little bit of support early on, if you get the Slardar an early advantage in that lane, he doesn't really have much to fear from the Tusk, at least prior to level 6. And even then, Tusk isn't going to be able to get the easiest of kills in the Slardar alone. Will at the very least need some backup from an Invoker's Sunstrike. I think a dual lane versus the Tusk should be enough. Team Romania might even still go for that Winter Wyvern I was talking about, but for Finland, it's going to be a Venomancer. I've seen Finland run this Venomancer a couple of times, but they have a lot of different varied ways, although that is a tad bit redundant, where they can throw this Venomancer and still have it be able to contribute quite a bit. Especially against the Slardar, the constant slows are going to be a nuisance. Sprint, although a good movement speed steroid, is not good enough to deal with Poison Sting, to deal with Gale, constantly just being a bother to this Slardar. And especially the damage that Venomancer pumps out, if you get the levels for this Veno, is going to be ridiculous. And I think that's the biggest issue for Team Finland. I'm not gonna... issue's probably a little bit harsh, but the main goal for them is to get this Venomancer a good amount of levels. Although I'm not sure if that means putting him in a core role or not. At the very least, free up some map space for the Venomancer. The Nightmare into Gale combo is also pretty good for getting early kills. In fact, very good at getting early kills, especially on like the Ember Spirit, who really has no great way to escape from that early, prior to level 6 at least. Once he gets his ultimate, it's potentially going to be a little bit difficult for Team Finland to lock down this Ember Spirit. It's another game where they have very few abilities that are going to lock him in place, and maybe, just maybe, Team Finland consider going for an Exhort Invoker. It'll build into an Orchid to force Ember Spirit's hand at the very least to go for Manta style, but also just to get active a little bit earlier on and look to join these early fights. Although I still think the benefits of having the Exhort Invoker plus the Bane might outweigh the attractiveness of the more control that Wex would offer you. Winter Wyvern will be the ban from Team Finland, and Witch Doctor will be the ban from Team Romania. Both sides are expecting a support last. A safe lane farming Invoker with a mid Venomancer might be coming from Team Finland, although there are a lot of ways that they could shake around these lanes. Bane and Tusk as the supporting duo give Trixie the Venomancer. Sounds pretty good as well, if his laning stage isn't going to be too awful. Finstack might consider getting a hero here that would still allow them that lane flexibility and would still be good in a couple of different scenarios. Wind Ranger is available, and if they want to get another mid laner, I think that would be pretty good, but instead it's going to be an Anti-Mage. Now, Team Finland have completely shifted gears with this Anti-Mage pick. Up until their 5th selection, Team Finland were a little bit more on the aggressive track. The Bane, the Tusk, the Invoker, the Venomancer all can fight very early and often, but now Team Finland are going to be playing a game that they want to just delay, to where this Anti-Mage is able to get his farm and then push at about that 35-minute mark when Anti-Mage gets his items, and we have another Timber Saw in our hands. Nice! Team Finland just, again, don't have a lot of lockdown here for these mobile cores from Team Romania, and I'm a little bit scared for Team Finland. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if they're going to have enough ability to apply pressure on these lanes. They'll have like the Slardar Darks here and a dual lane in the off lane, Enchantress in the jungle, safe lane farming Timber against the Tusk, and mid Ember Spirit. Although the Ember Spirit might suffer a little bit against this Invoker, I think in general it's another situation where this Timber Saw could just get out of control. Although it is worth noting that Synergy looks like he's going to be playing on the Darks here this game. Very, very interesting. Timbersaw against Anti-Mage is a bit awkward. Timbersaw is going to use his mana pool quite liberally. Early on, the mana void isn't going to be that great, but Timbersaw tends to build a lot of mana. Even with the Bloodstone, can get dropped low if Anti-Mage jumps in with the Manta style, so could be a theoretical good mana void bomb, but all of the other heroes really don't have a lot of spells in order to deal with that. We're going to have a pause called out for Team Romania, a 2-minute pause. A little bit awkward, but you know what? Let's introduce our teams. This is going to be Trixie on a Venomancer. This is a very classic hero for him to be playing. Boogie will take the Anti-Mage, Nymphi on the Invoker, Valix on the Tusk, and Okesia on the Bane. For the Radiant side, Team Romania, they're going to put their Ember Spirit, played by Keanu, presumably mid, Massacre on the Timbersaw, Razevan on the Enchantress, Illusionist on the Slardar, and Synergy, last but not least, on that Darkseer. It's really hard to call who wins this game. It's another situation where Finstack have the theoretical late game advantage, but Team Romania have a much more consistent initiation with the Slardar as Blink than Finstack do. The Tusk's initiation as the game scales later and later is very lackluster. It's not until they really get a Scythe of Vice on the Invoker that they can really say they have a late game edge. If they are able to farm up and get those items on the Anti-Mage and the Invoker, I think Finland are going to be, again, fairly comfortable with the state of the game and happy with how it's going. But I think that Team Romania are pretty well equipped to stop that from happening. This Anti-Mage's matchup against the Darkseer in particular isn't going to be terrible, but Darkseer +1 might prove to be a difficulty for them. The Venomancer and the Bane are very good at responding if Anti-Mage gets dove, but they're not going to be able to secure Anti-Mage free farm, which is what you really want, and also not very good at pressuring the kill onto the Darkseer. Unless they're able to, of course, drop the Nightmare after the Surge, which could come into play. If you waste that Surge time and then drop a Gale after the Nightmare has run its course, then Team Finland might be able to get a couple of pickoffs there. And it is also worth noting that Darkseer is a very good Mana Void bomb for the Anti-Mage. The upside is definitely there for Boogie if he's able to get the space early on, is able to get that farm. Team Romania putting a lot of emphasis on this Timbersaw pick. Very interesting coming out from them. I'm sure I've seen them pick up Timbersaw once or twice, but I don't remember it being such a regular occurrence for them. Kind of excited for the Euro. It's one of those Euros that's in a bit of an awkward place when it comes to metagame right now. It's so very focused on instant initiation and burst damage, which Timbersaw just as a hero doesn't deal with incredibly well. He doesn't want to be locked down, and sure as hell doesn't want to get bursted. He wants to be inside those fights longer, so reactive armor gets its value, and so he can abuse the fact that he's very maneuverable, can get a lot of damage off himself. But I think he's pretty good at punishing Finstack's heroes. The Invoker's damage output, of course, is going to be a potential nuisance for the Invoker, or for the, Timbersaw this game. But their supporting cast isn't that great at killing off a Timber. Hopefully this pause expires shortly. For now, everything is mere extrapolation. We'll just have to see how this game goes down. I'm slightly tempted to say that Romania have a little bit of an advantage in the draft, but not a significant one. It all depends on how passively the game state is. If Team Romania are able to get a quick Blink Dagger up on the Slaughter, aggressively gank early with the Enchantress, and start the game off with just a lot of pressure going Team Finland's way, it's going to be hard for Team Finland to counteract that. Their heroes, when played from behind, are very lackluster. An underleveled Invoker, an Anti-Mage without his items, and a Tusk that doesn't quite have the experience in these, and the Bane and the Venomancer, if they're not able to get their ultimates also at a reasonable time, could find it very difficult to dislodge Team Romania if they get an early lead. And that's the most delicate spot in this game, I'd say, is the first 10 minutes. If Finstack, or Team Finland, rather, are able to just survive through those first 10 minutes and get farm trade evenly with Team Romania, they'll be A-okay. Or at least we'll be feeling a lot better about their chances in this game. Even if they are on even footing, as long as the starter comes out with that Blink Dagger and then Team Romania are able to pick up the aggression with Blink Dagger and about level 7 to 8 on the Timbersaw, the ball could also just be in Team Romania's court at that point. These are the first couple of peaks and valleys that we're going to look for. Most importantly, the levels on all of these heroes are going to be incredibly important for both sides, but really the first major item pickup that's going to change the flavor of the game is that Slaughter as Blink. I haven't been keeping track of how long we've been paused, but hopefully it subsides shortly. Thanks for tuning in here to the Pro Dota EN stream on Hitbox. If you haven't already noticed, there's a giveaway running for a €3 G2A gift certificate or a gift card. So if you're interested in joining that, drop your vote on who's going to win this game. For game number 2, Finland really want to come back in and bring this one to a game number 3, and we'll have to see if they're able to accomplish it. It feels like we're getting close to that 2-minute spot, and hey, we're joined by Synergy's Darkseer now. As he's going to load in, we should be unpausing very shortly. Or at least one would hope so. Maybe Finland have gone for a little bit of a break of their own. And hey, we're unpaused. Getting back in, everybody's going to buy their items and run out to their lanes. Let's see if any of the item pickups early are very interesting. We have a very fast smoke from the Enchantress. That's not too unconventional. Enchantress doesn't need anything to stay inside the woods indefinitely. Just tank with the creeps, and even if they are hitting you, you have the Clarity Sustained mana usage for a little bit of a heal early on. This is going to flag the Enchantress wants to go for those early rotations, as she probably should. I like to see my jungle inches get very active early on. Once you get that second creep, if you get good luck on what creeps they are. And even if you don't get the best ganking creeps, you're still able to accelerate your farm quite nicely. Tusk is going deep on enemy lines with his boots to try and block out the camp, but Valix has not yet dropped the ward. He is going to be forced to run away, even though he's partnered up with Trixie, also with boots, and neither of them will die. They are going to be denied out that vision by Team Romania, playing very grouped up for this first rotation on the enemy side of the map. For the ward vision remaining on the other sides, we have a high ground vision ward placed for the Invoker in mid, although it's for the most part not going to reach the Radiant's high ground. We'll spot out rotations off of the offlane, and will give him eyes onto this top rune area. Very crucial if the Darkseer is going to be going in a dual lane, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. Or is it? I don't know. How do these lanes work out for them? I think the Slaughter actually is going to go with that Darkseer, though. Put the Timbersaw in a solo safe situation, as we saw in last game, how well Timbersaw can do in that laning matchup. Even against the Clockwork, it wasn't terrible for the Timbersaw. He died a couple of times, of course. The Clockwork got out of control. Not to take anything away from Trixie's Clock, he played great that game, for the first half at least. The Timbersaw got his levels. That's all you really need to contribute to these early fights, is just get your experience up and running. It's just going to be a support Slaughter, I wonder. I don't think so. Illusionist will probably make his way up towards top to buddy up with the Darkseer. It's not going to be like a support Slaughter in the normal sense. He's going to be getting a good amount of lane experience, and maybe even a bit of farm. Bane Anti-Mage against this Darkseer's Slaughter. Not going to die, probably. But the Bane by himself can't really secure the Anti-Mage's farm. If it was just the Darkseer, this is a great lane for them. But it isn't just the Darkseer. They have to worry about the Surge and the Crush combination if Bane gets caught out of position. But for now, Anti-Mage is under his tower and will be able to find a good amount of farm, although it hasn't gotten a CS yet. We're going to have a disconnect and a pause coming out as Finland's Invoker has DC'd. And also, unfortunate for the Invoker, is he's getting outlast hit massively by Keanu right now. The lane's going to push back in the Invoker, and he has a chance to redeem that as under his tower. We'll be able to pick up a couple of CS, but Keanu is really rocking it. If we take a look at the damage, Invoker, his damage is very lackluster early on, especially if you don't go for the Exhort Orbs. And it looks like Nemphy is going to consider at least going for a Wex build. Usually when you go for this Quas level 1, you're at least thinking about going for Wex. But in general, Invoker can still change up his mind and maybe decides to go for Exhort this game. He's going to have Cold Snap available. Might allow him to trade a couple of hits with the Ember Spirit, but just with this damage disadvantage, Keanu's having a grand old time. Enchantress inside the woods is going to look to find another creep camp inside this large stack, but won't be successful in doing so. Brings in the Centaur. Raise Van, however, is going to be dropped about half HP, forcing the Tango usage, but Valix is now a bit deep. He's not going to die here. Tusk's duty is successful in just blocking out that camp, which in and of itself is a minor victory for the side of Team Finland. And on top of that, drops an Observer Ward. We'll spot out rotations from the Enchantress and also block out that camp. And Enchantress has one sentry. Let's see if she's going to guess successfully. And she will. Just on the edge there, but that's all you really need. This sentry isn't going to block any of the camps inside her woods, so that ward is going to be massively unsuccessful. With Valix coming into the mid lane, they have an Ice Shards. Can they kill off Keanu? The Cold Snap isn't doing that much damage. The Flame Guard is just about to expire. Now Valix needs to be careful. I think Keanu is able to just back off and salve here. It's nice that they're trying to help out this Invoker, but across the board, Team Finland are not doing incredibly well in their lanes. The Darkseer is getting a massive amount of farm here. The Slaughter, although only has level 2, Illusionist looks like he is going to be playing more of a support role this game, is still getting there. The Ember Spirit, the Timbersaw all farming. The same can't be said for Team Finland, who are at a slight disadvantage. Down the bottom area, Valix is going to be stunned up by the Enchantress and will die. One more right click up through high ground, and a level 1 Tusk just can't survive against that. If he had level 2, Snowball probably gets him out to safety, but Enchantress just spronking all over the top of him. We'll be able to get that kill, and not where I expected First Blood to happen at the very least. I thought it would be with this first smoke ink of the Ench, but that also going to put a damper on things for Finstack. Now with the chains connecting with the Flame Guard, Nemphy dropping low. I don't think the Invoker dies here. Quas regen, 2 points in Quas is going to keep him fairly well sustained, but another fight like that, if Ember Spirit has the mana, and he will with the bottle flying out to himself, could be in a bit of a pickle. And here comes the Enchantress wraparound. This is the gank that I was talking about earlier. The Centaur is going to look for the stomp, catches on an empty. Will the damage be there? Without Flame Guard and without changes, this is a little bit hard, but the right click is there, and Keanu draws the second kill for Team Romania. Finstack do not have a lineup that is very well equipped to play from behind. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. Their heroes kind of need their experience before they're able to effectively do much, if anything at all. The Timbersaw against the Venomancer is going to find it difficult to deal with these maxed out wards, and Trixie is still having an okay time in this bottom lane, and Anti-Mage isn't getting 100% shut down in the top lane as he gets some experience under his tower. But Team Romania are just getting that much more, outlasting their opponents and taking out 2 kills, including First Blood. The silver lining for Team Finland is the fact that the Slaughter isn't getting a lot of space. Without that space, Slaughter might find it difficult to get in range for the initiations without having that Blink Crush, but now with double Ion Shell, they're going to crush up Boogie. He has the Blink Dagger and is going to, or the Blink, excuse me, not the Blink Dagger, but the Blink Spell, and will be able to survive towards the north. But it's a lot of harass damage that really doesn't cost them much, if anything at all. They don't have the boots on the Slaughter, so catching him out with the Sprint Crush is going to be a lot easier, and they also have Surge, which is something else to keep in mind. The Enchantress is going to rotate down towards bottom, spotted out by these Plague Wards, and Venomancer is going to post up on her because he can. Enchantress killing off this Venomancer proves to be very difficult for Raze Ven. Is going to salve up as the Enchantress goes back off into farming. In mid lane again, Keanu is going to jump towards the Invoker, but another thing to keep in mind this lane is that Tornado purges off the Flame Guard, which is incredibly good for this Wex Invoker, but it still doesn't help him out CS the Ember Spirit, but still, after a bit of a slow start for Nemphy, and even though he has died, is CSing reasonably well, 17-4 compared to 21-5, and now with the Cold Snap, they kill off Keanu, that'd be amazing, but they don't have mana for the Snowball, and they can't down the bottom lane. In the meantime, Timbersaw gets a solo kill onto the Venomancer as he bursts him down with the level 6. And now has Arcane Boots. Massacre, we might be seeing another Timbersaw completely run away with this game. And faster, too. He's having a grand old time this laning stage. Highest net worth in the game, highest CS, and he has a kill on his lane opponent. It's amazing. Enchantress is wrapping around on mid lane. Getting his kill could prove to be difficult as Keanu is fairly low, and I don't think it's really possible. But what she can do is be a nuisance. She has a tornado flying Nemphy's way, and no Invoker, no hero ever wants to see this tornado in the mid. It's just such a great zoning tool. Of course, it doesn't do that much damage, and with the 3 points Quas, he is for the most part able to out-regen it, but he has to sit in 3 points. Quas is at 237 movement speed, just casually. Keanu's remnanting behind the tower, Nemphy caught out. They have a sentry, so even if he Ghost Walks, won't be able to get out of there, and he doesn't have the mana to pop Ghost Walk. 10 short, or about 9 short, and then on the other side of the map, up towards top lane, they isolate the Bane, and Valix will burn very low. Where's he snowballing towards? Looks like to the creep wave. Valix will buy himself a little bit more time, but with another remnant, it's another kill. Keanu with the double in the mid lane. Team Finland are losing so much momentum across the map, and this Anti-Mage, even though he's getting a good amount of farm, and I think Boogie will be playing just a fine Anti-Mage this game, he's not going to come online till at least has the Battle Fury and the Mantis down. I don't think that's going to be fast enough for them. A Venomancer in bottom lane going to die as Darkseer is going to pop his Soul Ring and drop another Ion Shell up towards top lane. Slaughter is going to post up, and this Anti-Mage doesn't have nearly as much farming space, but Trixie just can't go in this bottom lane anymore. Timbersaw has too much farm, too much levels, more importantly, as the maxed out Timber Chain, which in and of itself is a scary tool, but Venomancer just isn't maneuverable enough, a naturally very slow hero, with no way to stop the Timbersaw from jumping onto him. And now with Soul Ring and Arcane Boots, he doesn't have to worry about mana issues ever, really. This is scary. Finstack need to get themselves on the board, and I don't quite see how they're able to do that convincingly. Maybe just keep on angling with Valix on this tusk, but he's only level 3. The damage is significantly lacking with another chains on an empty, with the starter coming around from the sidelines. The Invoker will die. They purge off the Flame Guard. That's nice, and with the Snowball, Keanu's going to take a couple more tower shots, but not enough to be lethal, and the Ice Shards won't even connect. Another kill on this Invoker. He's having a terrible time of it. 0-3 and 0, even though his CS isn't awful. The deaths are. They'll slow down Raze Ven, but can't kill off this Enchantress. 3 points in Untouchable. You can't actually kill that thing. Their magic nukes aren't sufficient, even with only 400 HP, which, granted, isn't that high. They really are lacking a certain amount of oomph, Finstack. They need some way to push these kills over the edge, and it's very hard for them to be able to find that. This Wex Invoker, I don't think he's going to be able to be active enough. If he was Exhort, maybe you can look for some pickoffs with that Sunstrike. But 8-0, Team Romania are off to a roaring start. I think the biggest way they come back into this game is getting Tuska's level 6, so Valix can set up some kills, but he's forced to rotate so heavily. There's a lot of pressure on the Tusk this game because you're the only hero that can really move around and make these kills happen. And for now, it's not working out for Valix. He's died twice, but he's going to throw another Ice Shards mid. Unsuccessfully so, and even if the Ice Shards connect, this Ember Spirit's incredibly hard to lock down. They don't have a way to stop him from getting off the Fire Remnant. There's no guaranteed lockdown yet from Finstack, and that's really where this Ember Spirit and Timbersaw pick start to show their true colors. If you don't have the appropriate lockdown, both of these heroes are terrifying. Valix gets crushed up by the Slaughter, and he does have a snowball, but I think it's going towards the Slaughter. They have the Bane around the corner. 2 points in the brain set. Maybe they can kill him off with the EMP being set up by the Nightmare. Elysius will get all of his mana drained out of it, and the Slaughter has been up more than he can chew. They get themselves on the board, and if nothing else, it feels good for Finstack that they get a kill. However, it costs them a lot of commitment, and in the meantime, you now have almost a drums finished on this Ember Spirit, and Timbersaw is going to have a stupidly fast Bloodstone. He almost has enough gold for the Vitality booster, and it's really just like 2,000 until he has it done. Nephew will get chained down to the ground, Keanu will posture. There is a Tornado available, so if he keeps on going, Keanu is just going to have his Flame Guard torn off of him, and I'm really surprised that Keanu's been involved in so many kills considering that natural counter of the Tornado to the Flame Shield. Finstack, increasingly the pressure is on the Anti-Mage to perform this game, but Anti-Mage isn't getting enough farm to where he's able to be ahead. He's 1,000 gold behind the Ember Spirit and the Timbersaw, and is only on par with the Darkseer. They can't keep him safe. They really can't. With Tranquil Boots Illusionist going to be running around so very swiftly, even without the surge from the Darkseer. And once you get the Blink Dagger, this Slaughter's a monster. Once he gets to level 6 too, a lot of aggressive potential from Team Romania that can't be reflected by Finstack. Trixie's going to be going towards the Mechanism, an item that I think he has to build. But Timbersaw diving down towards bottom, kills off the Tusk. There's not a safe place for Tusk to get the experience anymore. There really isn't. He's going to mop up the creep wave. He has the point booster already running. Is only 1,200 gold short of having the completed Bloodstone 10 minutes in. We're probably going to see like a 12-minute, 12.5-minute Bloodstone. If he gets a couple more kills like that, maybe even faster. One of the fastest Bloodstones I've seen in recent memory. Not a Timbersaw, no less. Drums are up for the Ember Spirit. They're battle ready. Finstack aren't. The Tusk is still only level 3. It really was the last avenue for Tusk to get his level 6 to soak down the bottom lane, but he can't feel comfortable, and Mascari is just throwing his weight around as he can. This map isn't completely closed to Finstack. They have a little bit of jungle farm that's available for Boogie and Trixie to benefit from. They'll drop some wards down and farm those large camps as much as they can to not completely lose out in this game, but already more than 5,000 gold in favor of Team Romania's side, and even more than that in experience. This is going to be a hard sell. A really hard sell, even though in theory the Tusk is pretty good at fighting. Not when you're this far behind. Level 10 on both the Timbersaw and Ember Spirit. That is really where Finstack's biggest issues lie. An over-leveled Ember and an over-leveled Timbersaw can do so much damage. Now Raise Van, rotating towards mid, has a creep, although the Enchantress's farm isn't all that great. It's more than enough to kill off this Invoker. They don't have detection, however, with any of their items, but they do have an amp damage on an MP. Ghost Walking does nothing, he doesn't even have the Invoke. They are going to miss the Centaur's Stomp. The Nightmare onto Keanu is going to be taken off of him. Remnants for an Empty with the impetuses is going to go down. Keanu is dominating. And on the backlines, Timbersaw destroys the Venomancer. Again, this Venomancer's died to the Timbersaw so many times and is one of the big reasons why Timbersaw is so close to having this Bloodstone almost done. In fact, that is the completed Bloodstone. I said 12.5 minutes. He has it sub 12. Although not flown out to himself. They are going to lose their Slaughter, however, as they go for that Venomancer kill. Slaughter isn't in a great situation for him to be able to survive inside these fights. Is not very tanky and isn't getting that much farm towards his Blink. But they're making up for it by the fact that they have so many heroes that are ready and willing to take these engagements, whereas Finstack don't. You already have the mech on Synergy. And the mech for the Venomancer feels like miles away. It's something that Finstack need to even think about taking these fights. Unless Team Romania start overextending, they're going to be just fine. Well, we'll have to see if they do just that. They're going to place down a ward, and I think Finstack know about this. Team Finland might expect it to be here, but essentially around that vicinity we'll be able to get the T-ward. Now, tier 1 tower in the mid lane going to be dropped down to about half. They get the chains to connect onto Trixie, and there's no hope for this poor Venomancer. Keanu's on a mega kill spree. I don't see how they slow down this snowball. Finstack need this anti-mage to get his Battle Fury up. It's their first order of business, but even if he gets the Battle Fury, he needs to somehow stop Team Romania from grouping up and pushing. He needs to play very risky with it, cut creep waves, and farm in places that aren't necessarily safe. With this extra tower gold as an extra steroid for Team Romania, they're going to be getting this Blink Dagger a lot faster than they otherwise would. As Masquerade goes deep behind the tower, he's going to blow up Valix. He has the snowball, but that wouldn't have saved his life anyway. Mega kill for him, and chains will be thrown, although they don't connect onto the Bane. Team Romania are repelled from diving tier 3s, but that's small consolation to pay. This Invoker's doing his best attempt to split push bottom, and considering the state of the game, Nemphy can still contribute with an EMP Tornado combo, especially with Cold Snap on top of an Urn. It's a very nice natural combo that even if you are behind can get you some kills, but not if Team Romania are this grouped up. If they just keep on fighting, I don't see how Team Romania lose these fights. It really is going to be down to the anti-mage to split push, and he still is miles away from having that completed Battle Fury. No components on the courier is still a good ways away, and now OKC under his tier 4s. This is not a safe place for you to be. Anywhere on this map is not safe. They'll get an EMP Tornado, they'll cancel the Timber Chain, and Timbersight is going to be denied a lot of his mana, but Trixie's inside the Chakram, the Impetuses will fly, and they'll rip him to shreds with the Whirling Death. 15-2, Team Romania are owning it. If nothing else, Team Finland feel awful about that last tower dive, even though it is only a support and an offlaner to die, even though their anti-mage is getting a little bit of space elsewhere on the map. They just dove tier 4s and got away with it. Freely. There was no trade for Team Finland outside of a little bit of extra farming space for the anti-mage. Well, Ember Spirit's Battle Fury isn't going to be as fast as AM since he has backed off for the drums beforehand, but it is still going to be a very well-timed Battle Fury, a lot faster than the average for the Ember Spirit. And Timberzod's Bloodstone, too, has 12 charges at 1440. This is not what you expect your Timberzod to have. He shouldn't have the Bloodstone by now, under normal circumstances, but he's 6-0-2. He's had so much farming space. He's the second highest last hits in this game under the Anti-Mage of all heroes. Ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Finstack don't have the lockdown to stop him from denying. Even if they drop the Timbersaw low, worst case scenario for this Timber, I think he just drops that Bloodstone Suicide. They're going deep behind this tier 2 because they can, as they cut the creep wave and are going to start taking down these structures. This game is looking like it's almost over. At only 15 minutes in, or more than 10,000 the advantage in the favor of net worth for Team Romania and 7,500 in experience. Since they have grouped up, the experience advantage is less significant than it otherwise would be, but it's still there. And they don't have level 6 on this Tusk, for Pete's sake, and I'm not even going to touch the Bane. He's only level 4. They need Walrus Punch, and they need Fiend's Grip to even have a chance of taking these engagements, but the Tusk and the Bane are, for the most part, just non-factors. It's not their fault. It's Team Romania's lineup that's just doing such a good job of applying pressure early, and Finstack tried to stop it. It's something that you kind of have to do when you're playing these supports in games like this, when your Ember Spirit is, or when your Invoker is getting dived by an Ember Spirit so very early on in the game, and when your Venomancer is getting destroyed by the Timbersaw. The pressure's on the supports to try and move around the map and make things happen, but Team Romania are playing things so tightly that finding those openings is almost impossible. One of the few ways I see them getting back into this game, Finstack, is, well, not by losing Valix down towards bottom lane. The Tusk is going to go down, but by getting a good Mana Void on the likes of maybe Synergy inside these fights, or maybe the Timbersaw if he's spammed out his Chakrams one too many times. But finding that Mana Void bomb the Timbersaw is getting increasingly difficult, as, well, he now has Boots of Travel. There's Guardian Greaves on this Darkseer. Both of these tools are going to make it very difficult for Anti-Mage to get that Dream Mana Void. They're going to throw a Tornado into the pit. Team Romania are coming for Roshan. They have the minus armor from the Slaughter as soon as they can. Oh! Sorry for missing that, but Venomancer just went pop. Massacre finds himself another kill. Venomancer could not stick around there. This Timbersaw is overwhelmingly huge. They have the Battle Fury and the Anti-Mage. This is a 17-minute Battle Fury treads. This is not bad at all. Granted, Anti-Mage is doing well. Boogie is playing as well as he can be inside this game, but Team Romania's draft is going to mean that this Battle Fury has next to no impact unless Finstack hold high ground, unless they turn a good fight at those close quarters, and they don't have like an RP or an Earthshaker Echo Slam or Winter Wyvern ulti to fall back on in order for that. What they have is the EMP Tornado combination from the Invoker, the Mana Void, and the Poison Nova from the Venomancer. These spells need to be used to perfection, and this Blink Dagger on the Slider is going to make that very difficult. This Slider does not look like a pseudo-support when it comes to his item progression. That's because of how many towers have fallen in favor of Team Romania, and how much they've been able to give their other heroes. Bane dreams of the day when he has enough gold to consider going for a Blink Dagger. In fact, he dreams of the day when he can upgrade his boots. He only has Brown Boots Magic Wand at this point. Probably all he's ever going to see. Maybe he gets Arcanes, maybe he gets like a cloak, but no matter what it is, not going to save your life. Timbersaw going to cut the creep wave top. Tier 2 tower is almost forfeit there. Finland need to defend high ground, and it's only 18 minutes in. Ooh. Mech on Venomancer is going to help. That is something. Anything. They just need one thing that's going their way. But for the mech on the Venomancer, there's already Guardian Greaves on the Darkseer. It's not going to be as much of an advantage inside these fights, but just a salvaging attempt. They have the Battle Fury, treads, drums, bottle, wand on this Ember Sphere. He's not going to be able to cancel that TP from the Invoker. He was able to get out of there safely. But only just, and now they have to defend their high ground. The Tornadoes are going to fly from the Wild Wing Rippers, and Timbersaw's casually tanking this tower because he can. Mascari has an Aegis. This Timbersaw just cares not for anything. They'll purge off the Flame Guard from the Ember Spirit. He's going to dodge the EMP, however, with the Sleight of Fist, and now the siege will commence. Team Romania's tower damage isn't the greatest, so maybe Team Finland have a chance. But although it's slow, it's steady, and Team Romania have not been repelled. They'll get the chains on two heroes behind enemy lines with no Fiend's Grip. Bane can't really punish how aggressive Keanu is posturing here. What can they do about this? Ember Spirit just remnants away. Even with the Plague Ward spam, that's probably healing up Timber more than the damage it's dealing. And the only time that it really matters is when they have the Cold Snap as well applied to Masakari. Drop down about half HP. Timbersaw needs to be a little bit careful, but Timbersaw has a Blink Dagger that he just casually buys. I thought he might save for buyback so he can boots and travel back into the engagement afterwards, but oh, Blink Crush. They catch out poor Trixie. Tornado's there. Mechanism will be popped. They turn around on the Slaughter, and with that sprint is taking a live damage, but Guardian Greaves will be popped. They blow up the Bane in turn, and Lucius still doesn't go down into the middle of the frame. Mascari is going to propel himself into the entire enemy team as the tier 3 tower falls. 18-2, a commanding lead coming out from Team Romania. Nymphy's going to take just a casual Chakram thrown by Masquerade, who still commands the Aegis. Kill off the Timbersaw once, that's great. Kill him off twice, sure, that's fine. But then he's going to respawn very swiftly with these 14 Bloodstone charges. It's not an instant respawn, it'll take him a couple seconds, maybe 10. But he's going to be able to join the fight for a third HP pool. And they're having difficulty even dropping him down to half with this first life. Guardian Greaves will be popped, Blinking Crush, they catch out Nymphy, and the Invoker pops like a balloon, and he has no buyback. Without the Invoker, I don't think this is possible. Even if Timbersaw is diving your base, you still don't have 6 on your supports. So close, the Bane dreams of Fiend's Grip. But right now, this is Bane's nightmare. Being high ground pushed 21 minutes into the game, is he even going to get before the end of this match? Maybe, with a couple of these creeps dying, but just with those creeps, so is the melee barracks. Finstack are relying on this Anti-Mage to win them this game, and I don't see it happening. Anti-Mage has an Ultimate Orb. That doesn't compare to the items that are being picked up by Team Romania. It's a slim chance, but they really want to stick around. They lose this game, they lose the best of 3. Team Romania with a commanding lead. And oh, Bane, not like this. He's gonna get triple remnanted on. With the mech heal, it's going to survive a little while longer, but not that long. They'll get the Mana Void, they kill off the Ember Spirit. That's a huge amount of damage for them. They get the Poison Nova, but Boogie's forced inside the base as Masakari has hardly been dented. Okay, let's see how much gold. Fight recap, please show up so we can see how much they got from that Ember Spirit kill. But even if that Ember Spirit kill gives them, in theory, 10,000 gold. They lost barracks, and even with 10,000 gold, I know it didn't give them that much. They're still at a disadvantage. They're going to throw a Cold Snap the way of the enemy team, but can't quite chase yet. They blink aggressively and touching the Tornado, although it does catch synergy. Maybe I missed that fight recap. Sorry if I did. We'll look at the graphs after Team Romania fall back for real this time. But even with that Ember Spirit kill, it's just a steady advantage for Team Romania. A little bit of experience will swing back in their favor. Now the Aegis is expired, and things will slow down a little bit, but not enough for Team Finstack to... Team Finland, or Finstack, or Stark Esports, if you rather, to be able to get this anti-mage relevancy. We have a second Battle Fury? Or, wait. Keanu actually hadn't had his Battle Fury delivered. Never mind that. Okay, it's only his first Battle Fury. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. At least the Ember Spirit is on par with the Anti-Mage, but they still have no answers for this Timber Saw. This is an Aghanim Scepter game, if ever I did see one. When you have 17 Bloodstone charges, your point booster is ready, I don't think there's a reason to go for Octarine. I mean, Octarine's great, don't get me wrong, but I just want to see him drop the double Chakram. They'll get a cold snap on a Massacre. Fiend's Grip is there. They can't even kill him off. It's cancelled by the Crush, and now they chase forward for the Invoker. Nemphy, he's gonna get his TP cancelled by a Vacuum, and this is the death of the Invoker. Ghostwalk isn't going to save you against the amp damage, and Nemphy will die. Beyond godlike for Massacre, and he blinks forward aggressively as if there was anybody else backing him up. The Enchantress and Ember Spirit are prepared for a push in mid, and Team Romania have nothing really to fear. It is now probably an instant respawn for Massacre. I'm not sure the exact numbers after the nerf. They reduced the duration. Oh, double crush. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's another 2 kills for Team Romania and another 2 Bloodstone charges for the Timber Saw. Okay, now it's instant respawn for Massacre. This is a massacre. Team Finland just can't stop it. I was afraid that they'd get overrun early, but I didn't think it would be this brutal. Team Romania are taking out your high ground. The second set of barracks is going to be falling very swiftly. They buy back their Venomancer, but this buyback lets them place down 1 Plague Ward. Massacre doesn't care. He just doesn't care in the slightest. They're going to look for the Tornado, catches out the Timber Saw, but the EMP, is that even going to connect? No. And even if it did, oh, now another Blink Crush, more follow from the Chakram, vacuum back into the wall. OKC is going to hit the deck. Anti-Mage gets a good Mana Void. He's going to drop them low. They'll kill off the Slaughter, but with Chains, they lose their Tusk too. And it just doesn't matter. The Anti-Mage falls, and whether they call it or not, this is pretty much GG. They get a couple of kills on the retreat. Nice, I guess, but the Anti-Mage needs to be ahead. He needs to be able to survive after these initiations. That was about as good as it gets for Team Finland, but Team Romania just can't be stopped. The second melee barracks is going to fall in their favor. Oh dear. The all chat, I mean, what do you do about this? You really just can't do anything. Enchantress is going to waltz up and take your melee barracks. Your Bane, who is only level 6, 25 minutes of the game, can do nothing but watch. The only hero that's even close to keeping up is the Anti-Mage. And Anti-Mage, just by hero design, needs to be doing more than keeping up. This support Slaughter has a Blink Vanguard. Ooh, Timber Saw chains towards Nemphy, but with Force Staff will be able to turn around. They have the EMP, they have the Cold Snap. Can you bring down this giant of a Timber Saw? He has the Bloodstone Suicide and will use it. All of that hard work is not going to mean nothing. He still has 17 Bloodstone charges even after dying and instantly respawning inside base. Actually not going to be an Aghanim Scepter for Timber Saw. You know what? It doesn't matter. Even if he doesn't go for another item after the Blink Bloodstone Boots of Travel, he's still a monster. Octarine is going to mean that he's damn near unkillable. I don't think Finstack can do it, especially not if he has Bloodstone Suicide available. But at least for the next 273 seconds now, Finstack don't have to worry about it. Well, I don't know. This is... I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't think Finstack can come back from this, but maybe Team Romania, if they just waltz into the fountain and feed away the spree on the Timber Saw, they might be able to come back from it. I think at this point, although it's not the ideal situation, maybe you just go Rapier on the Anti-Mage, attack with it, go BKB Rapier. I mean, you just need to be able to 1v5 the enemy team. BKB is absolutely necessary, however, or else the Timber Saw will just destroy him. The good news for Anti-Mage is he has 2 ways to purge off the amp damage coming up from the Slaughter, but Illusionist is having a grand old time waiting for Roshan. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. He'll stop his animation canceling and just become the living ward. Be the ward, Illusionist. Wait a minute and 20 seconds while we wait this Roshan respawn timer. Team Romania are under no pressure here. They have 2 melee barracks in their favor, ranged barracks up top 2 that also fell, and Team Finland have no map control. Absolutely no map control. They have 1 ward on this map, which is placed on that high ground spot, but That doesn't make them feel comfortable enough to push out of the base. Boogie is the only one that can leave their melee barracks, really, or leave their barracks at all. And even then, just for a couple creeps inside his own woods. He can't go anywhere without the knowledge of where Team Romania are. And, well, to answer that question, they're everywhere. Boots of Travel on this Timber Saw, the Ember Spirit also with his natural map mobility, and Invis Rune 2 for Keanu as if they needed anything else, and Team Romania are looking solid. Octarine's done on the Timber Saw, 30-6. We could be in for the last push of the game very shortly. Team Romania are playing things slowly and very safely because they can. This does not come at the cost of any of their hopes in this game, really. Chains and mid will connect, and Ember Spirit cheekily just going to Remnant back out to the Secret Shop area as Trixie disconnects. Sorry about this, guys. The game has already slowed down quite a lot. It's 27 minutes, or 27:55 into the game. It feels like we've been in this game for a lot longer because of how many kills have gone the way of Team Romania. He's going to reconnect. We'll get back into this game shortly. But my goodness. Well, the good to go is going to be called, and Team Romania, everything's looking good for them. Team Finland need to stop them from getting this first shot. If they have a second life for Keanu, a second life for anybody really, you could even give the Aegis to the Enchantress. It's just not possible for them to defend this high ground push, I want to say. Team Finland have a glimmer of hope. A slight glimmer of hope when it comes to being able to kill off a couple of these heroes with the perfect combination from everybody. They have a level 2 Poison Nova. They have the MP Tornado combo, which is almost at its peak with nearly maxed Wex points. They're going to throw this on a raised van. The Enchantress will be dropped low, but a Vacuum Crush! Oh no, not like this. Team Finland are getting wiped. They're not going to get a single kill for this. Boogie dies on the left, and Team H falls on the right. Or rather, Trixie falls on the right. Ugh. That's going to be GG, and it really was from Team Romania. A lot of this comes down to the draft. Team Finland just didn't have the appropriate heroes to respond to that early aggression. Team Romania came running out of the gate, with Enchantress ganks towards mid lane, with a Timber Saw that solo killed Trixie I don't know how many times. It really was a very commanding performance from them. Well played, Team Romania. That's a 2-0 victory. A lot of people were expecting Stark Esports to come away with the victory here. But Team Finland, unfortunately, are going to be bumped down. Team Romania, well played to them. Thanks for tuning in to the National Cup. That is our only series for today. But if you like the casting, I'm Grant SV, and find me on Twitter. And later down the line, you're going to find me at the Game Show channel on azubu.tv. Game Show _D2EN. Which is where we'll be casting the Game Show Global Esports Cup. But enough shameless plugs for me. Shout out to this tournament, and shout out to the sponsors, G2A, Dota 2 Lounge, Esport Gaming, and the lot. They really are allowing us to see these very impressive games, and from Team Romania, it really was. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys later.